Which do you think would garner more engagement long term? Which would hold interest? Which would keep the ears tantalized and listeners active? And which would make them zone out and go on autopilot? Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Kristi Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Kristi Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello, Foster fam. Hey, welcome back. I'm Kristi Foster, your host. On this podcast, I end up focusing a good percentage of the point of interest segments around goal setting and mindset when it comes to skill building. But this is supposed to be a voice podcast, Kristi, right? Well, yes, it is. But here's how I see it. For the clients I work with, they are choosing to explore something that is outside of their normal communication tactic or their communication style. And as soon as we start messing with the status quo, the brain chimes in with oh, no, that's not what we want. So when you commit to developing your voice and your entire nonverbal communication package for more strategic and transformative courtroom communication, your brain freaks out. That's just how the brain works. At a baseline level, the brain prioritizes efficiency and survival. It's just wired to seek reward, avoid threat, and conserve energy. So, yes, this is a voice and nonverbal communication focused podcast, but we just have to address mindset and start to work with the brain. We have to figure out why and how it rebels, how it tries to just keep you far away from challenge and from growth. And you know what? I am right there in the trenches with you. I'm not trying to improve my personal communication with jurors, but I am trying to address my mindset as I navigate aging, health and wellness, working out, managing anxiety, etc., etc. I'm a learner by nature, but that comes with a lot of mental obstacles. It helps me to talk through the neuroscience stuff, and I hope it helps you too. So the goal here is to learn to work with our brain to help it create new neural pathways. So what are neural pathways? Well, a clean definition is this: a repeated, structured route of electrical and chemical signaling between neurons that produces this predictable output, movement, thought, emotion, or behavior. It's wiring that strengthens with repetition. It's electrochemical communication. Signals move electronically with a neuron, chemically across the synapses, and then electrically again down to the next neuron. Electric, chemical, electric in combination with each other. The more a pathway is used, the stronger it becomes. Repetitive activation increases that synaptic efficiency, making signals travel more smoothly and with less effort. We're always chasing faster signal speeds, right? Now, what's important to remember is that we're talking about building new neural pathways as we break patterns and learn new skills. We're not talking about deleting old neural pathways. That's just not how this works. You can't delete them. You can, however, create new behaviors, repeat the pattern, and then make those stronger than the old ones. So the old ones kind of fade away. Where we struggle, or I guess I'll just say where I struggle, is that sometimes I spend too long thinking about the pattern I want to break. Well, sure, you have to know what the habits that are bad are so you can strategize ways to break them, right? Well, actually, no. This might be surprising. If your attention always stays fixed on the unwanted pattern, you may be unintentionally reinforcing it because attention activates the circuitry that you're trying to weaken. When you keep your focus on how to break a pattern, you end up strengthening it instead. You're making those neurons fire, which then just reinforces the pattern. I find this fascinating. There's a gal on Instagram that I've been following. Her channel is Reclaiming Melissa. And I'll post a link to her in the show notes, but she's a specialized somatic trauma therapist. And in her work, she talks all about how the brain works for new growth. In a reel that I just recently saw, which again, I'll post the reel in the show notes as well, she reminded me that the brain does not work by elimination. It works by reinforcement. She gave this popular example of the don't think of the pink elephant. Okay, we've heard that phrase before. So of course you think of a pink elephant. The brain just doesn't work in negatives quite like that. It's nuanced, but it will think of the very thing that you want to avoid. And it does that with behaviors as well as thought patterns. So she goes on to say in this reel, attention is activation. I like that little soundtrack. Attention is activation. When you continue to obsessively think about what you want to eliminate, you're firing the neurons that are keeping you connected to that behavior. What fires together, wires together. That's another good soundtrack. What fires together, wires together. So, focus on what you want to build instead. Instead of, how do I get myself to not shut down? Ask, what would feeling present look like? Instead of, how do I quit people pleasing? Ask, how do I honor my own needs? Now, let me give you some reframes that specifically relate to courtroom communication. See if any of these resonate with you. Instead of, how do I sound more powerful? Ask, how do I want the jury to feel when I speak? Instead of, how do I stop my voice from shaking? Ask, what would steady feel like in my body? Instead of, how do I make sure they understand everything? Ask, what is the one idea they must not miss? Instead of, how do I not get too emotional? Ask, how can I channel emotion in a way that serves clarity? And the last one here, instead of, how do I not get thrown off by them? Ask, what anchors me back to my message? Can you feel those shifts in the reframing and how they're going to serve to build new neural pathways? And just let the old ones kind of fade into the distance. I'd love to hear some reframes that you come up with too. Send me an email or find me on the socials and DM me. When we can ask the right questions, the old pathways just kind of weaken from lack of use. And then the new ones get stronger with repetitive practice. It kind of reminds me of my cousin Megan, who now as a 40-something adult realized that she didn't really like the tattoo that she got in her early 20s. It just didn't represent her well, and she didn't connect with it anymore. Now, instead of having it removed, instead, she built a new tattoo design around the old one she had outgrown. It wasn't deleted. The new design became dominant. The old one was still there, but its clarity had diminished to the point where you can't even see it anymore because the new design is just so vibrant and striking. As you move towards a new mindset, towards setting goals, towards wanting to grow in your trial advocacy and communication strategies, Melissa says to shift your focus from what you hate to what you want to build. The brain builds what it practices. Hey, real quick, if your jurors look confused when you say liability, standard of care, or damages, they're not tuning out because they don't care. They're tuning out because they don't speak law. I've put together a free guide called Top 20 Legal Terms to Avoid and What to Say Instead. It'll help you simplify your language without losing credibility, so your message actually lands. Download it now at fostervoicestudio.com/top20 or click the link in the show notes. All right, back to the episode. Here's something that you can start doing right away in all your legal communication. If you're starting a trial this week, or even if you're doing depositions this week, or maybe a focus group, do this communication shift to keep your audience neurologically engaged. Here it is. Reset the melody. Okay, now let's do a little music lesson here. Think of a song. Really, nearly every song does this. They're written in some kind of form. They have natural sections to them. Maybe they start with a verse, then they go to the chorus. Then after the chorus, they probably return to do another verse, and then another chorus, maybe a bridge, and then a final chorus with an ending tagged on. Just start listening to music a little bit differently and listen for the form. It's probably going to follow that format. So let's just take an easy song. Let's take Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. Are there any Swifties listening? I admit I came late to the Swiftie party, but I feel like I'm solidly there now, I think. So it starts with the verse. I stay out too late, got nothing on my brain. That's what people say. Okay, now you're singing along with me, right? Then we get to what's called a pre-chorus. But I keep cruising, can't stop, won't stop moving. Okay, and then finally we get to the chorus, because the player's gonna play, 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 and the hater's gonna hate, 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 etc., etc. So, verse, pre-chorus, chorus. Now, stick with me, because what happens next? I never miss a beat, got lightning on my feet, and that's what they don't see. Have we heard that melody before? Sure we did. That's the verse. Then after the verse, we're going back to a pre-chorus. And then, because the player's going to play, 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 etc., we're back to the chorus. So verse, pre-chorus, chorus. Verse, pre-chorus, chorus. For this song, then there's a bridge where it has this kind of rap section and spoken section. And then it returns to a final chorus, and then the song ends. Boom. That's the form of the song. Okay, are you still with me? Okay, now think of the song Baby Shark. Baby Shark, do 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 do. And then Mommy Shark, do 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 do. Daddy Shark, Grandma Shark. Okay, there's just nothing to that song. There's no structural variation. It's repetitive without contrast. It's the same thing over and over and over again ad nauseum. I'm getting to my point here. If these two songs were an opening statement in court, which do you think would garner more engagement long-term? Which would hold interest? Which would keep the ears tantalized and listeners active? And which would make them zone out and go on autopilot? Jurors are going to thrive under a Taylor Swift approach because variation resets attention, and they're going to zone out if you take a baby shark approach. So reset the melody. Treat each new section of your opening as a fresh song. Signal the transition vocally. Are you doing the verse? Are you doing the chorus? Are you on the bridge? Or are you accidentally caught in this endless loop where everything sounds the same, where there's no variation, and your dense information and long explanations are just getting lost? Start thinking about how you vocally move to the next key point. Change the tune, reset the melody, briefly add pitch variations to refresh and re-engage attention. Use pitch shifts, intentional pauses, and slight tempo changes to signal a new section. Until next time, keep fostering your voice. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.